For the first time in Chicago Bears history, over 100 years of history, the Chicago Bears have fired their head coach, Matt Eberflus, in season, and he is no longer the head coach of the Chicago Bears. Thank God. The Chicago Bears, oh my gosh, finally made the move that all of us Bears fans have been calling for, okay? Head coach Matt Eberflus is no longer with us. He didn't die, but he's no longer with the Chicago Bears, and Thomas Brown will be taking over as interim head coach of the Bears. What's going on, guys? I'm back with another Chicago Bears news update video, which I'll be doing anytime the Chicago Bears news going on. And oh my goodness, guys, I was at a Wisconsin Badgers football game when the news broke out this morning, so I wasn't able to get a video out until later tonight, so apologies for the delay, but I am so fucking happy right now because oh my gosh, man. The pain that Matt Eberflus has caused me as a Bears fan has been immense and unbearable. And obviously, guys, I have nothing against the person, okay? Matt Eberflus, as a human being, I'm sure is a fine human being. I wish him the best as a human being, and his family, I wish them the best as well. But as a head coach of a football team, he was a horrible football coach, one of the worst coaches in Chicago Bears history, if not the worst, okay? He finished with a record of 14-32. He had one of the worst records all time in one-possession games. He only had 5 wins to 18 losses in one-possession games. He found every single way to lose a football game because this guy just simply was not a competent head football coach. And I've seen some people online feel bad for him for the fact that the Bears gave him a terrible roster in 2022, which is true. Okay, in 2022, the Bears gave him a terrible roster, but 2023 and 2024, he had more than enough talent to win football games, but still made every single possible mistake to lose a football game at the very last second. I don't feel bad for anybody that's making millions of dollars to be horrible at his job, okay? There's people out there that are actually struggling, you know, that you should feel bad for. Matt Eberflus is not one of those people, okay? He's getting paid so much money, and he's going to continue to be paid so much money for at least the next 1 year, maybe 2 years if his contract was 5 years, to do nothing at all for the Bears, okay? You should not feel bad for this guy. He was horrible at his job. And again, guys, as a human being, you know, I do feel for him because, you know, obviously a lot of Bears fans are hating on him, but a lot of the hate is well-deserved, okay? This guy did not take any accountability whatsoever. He blamed his players for the mistakes that he made as head coach. And the last game was the final straw. Eberflus got torched by the national media, by other fan bases, by other coaches for how he choked away the last game. The Bears had 32 seconds left on the clock in the last game against the Lions. They had a chance to win that game, but nobody called a timeout. The time basically ran out on the Chicago Bears. It was a very embarrassing display of complete buffoonery by the head coach. And, you know, obviously you could blame the players for that too. You could blame Caleb for that too to some extent. But the fact that this has happened so many times under the watch of Matt Eberflus with different quarterbacks, with different players, just speaks to how bad this head football coach is, okay? Everybody from, you know, J.J. Watt to Jimmy Johnson to, like, you know, every media person was clowning Eberflus for how bad he coached the last game. I mean, that was by far the worst way in which the Bears could lose that game. Thank God the Bears lost that game, because if not for that loss, I think Eberflus would still be here. The fact that the Bears choked that game in front of all of America against such a good team, a 10-1 Lions team, they had a chance to beat that team, I think told Ryan Poles and Kevin Warren that this guy has to be gone. You can no longer have this guy as head football coach of this team. And this change should have been made 3-4 weeks ago. Honestly, it should have been made before the season even started, in my opinion. But it should have definitely been made a couple weeks ago at least. But, you know, thank God a change finally was made, okay? The Bears finally broke from tradition and fired a coach in season. Not even Mark Trestman was fired in season. So the fact that Eberflus was fired in season does tell me that things are different under Kevin Warren and Ryan Poles. As much as, Ryan Poles does deserve criticism for hiring this guy in the first place and keeping him for this long. I will give him some credit for firing a coach in season because no other Bears GM has been able to do that, been able to successfully convince George McCaskey, Virginia McCaskey, to fire a coach in season. But Ryan Poles did that. Kevin Warren did that. So, again, I don't want to give them too much credit because they were the reasons why, or at least Ryan Poles was the reason why Eberflus was here in the first place. But the fact that he did finally cut bait with him, tells me that, he wants to go after a better head coach. He wants to maybe go after, I don't know, a Ben Johnson or maybe somebody else. I mean, right now, Thomas Brown is going to be head coach of this team, which I think is perfect. Okay, if Thomas Brown has a very good last 5 games with the Bears, you can't completely rule out him being head coach of the Bears next year because the players clearly love him. Caleb is working very well with him. The offense is doing very well with him, at least compared to Shane Waldron. The offense is looking so much better under Thomas Brown as compared to Waldron. So, you can't completely discount the fact that Thomas Brown could take over and maybe be head coach of this team next year. But I think right now it's just too early to even say that, right? Like if he has a good 5 last games, if the team wins a couple more games or maybe 3-4 games, then yeah, you could entertain that possibility. But right now I'm still thinking it's going to be a different head coach next season. Hopefully a Ben Johnson, maybe I don't know, whoever else is out there, okay? I'd have to do more research on who's actually out there because right now Ben Johnson is the only hot name per se, but there's going to be a lot of really good coaching candidates that want to be head coach of the Bears because of how good Caleb Williams is doing. Okay, the fact that Caleb, even with a bad head coach and a bad offensive coordinator in Shane Waldron, the fact that he's still having a pretty fantastic season for Chicago Bears quarterback standards, just speaks to how talented of a quarterback this guy is. So, I'm guaranteeing you guys, the top offensive minds in coaching are going to want to coach Caleb on this offense, right? So, the Bears should be excited that they're going to get some top head coaching candidates. They just have to convince some McCaskies to hire the right one because the Bears have really never hired the right head coach in my lifetime besides for Lovie Smith. Okay, Lovie Smith was the only good head coach the Chicago Bears have had in my lifetime. I'm really hoping we can finally get another one after him. And again, guys, I wish Matt Eberflus the best of luck, truly. I don't have any ill will against this guy personally, even though I've spoken so much bad on his name because I've been mad at how he's coached the Bears. He is a human being, so I'm not going to hate on him too much or, hate on him further, okay? I wish him the best of luck, but he was a horrible head coach for the Bears, and I'm just so damn happy this organization finally had some balls to do something that no other GM, no other president has ever done. They finally fired their head coach in season, a well-deserved firing after the last game, and we'll see where the Bears go from here. Again, I don't expect the Bears to change too much the rest of the season. I still think, it's going to be tough to win games down the stretch because we have such a tough schedule coming up. Okay, 49ers, the rest of the division, again, we already play the division one time each. We have another game against each divisional opponent. Again, we have the Seahawks as well. So it's going to be a tough final 5 games, but the Bears have been very good in the last 3 games against very good divisional opponents. I mean, they could have beat all these 3 divisional opponents with the better coaching and just more plays being made in the final seconds. So I would not totally discount Thomas Brown winning some games down the stretch. And every time a team fires a coach in season, there usually is a bump with the interim head coach. Okay, usually that team wins a couple games just from the new energy that's being injected into the team because the team is just happy to have somebody else leading them. Okay, so I think the Bears could beat the 49ers next week, honestly, with the firing of Matt Eberflus, especially because the 49ers are also struggling a bit themselves. But again, I don't have too high expectations for the rest of the season. I will still be rooting for wins now, even though the playoffs are completely out of the picture, just because I want Caleb and this team to have the feeling of winning games. They've been fighting so hard the past couple weeks. I want them to finally win some games and, feel the energy of a win, okay? Especially Caleb, man. I mean, this guy's fighting his ass off and having one of the best quarterback seasons in Chicago Bears history, okay? He's on pace to have the 4th most passing yards of any Bears quarterback in history in a single season. So, like, guys, we still have a lot to play for the rest of the season, even if it's not for the playoffs. You know, this team should still be fighting, and I think they will be fighting for a new head coach in Thomas Brown. And again, if Thomas Brown injects life into this team, maybe he could be the head coach next year of the Chicago Bears. But, you know, he has to prove that to the Bears front office, to Ryan Poles, and to Kevin Warren. So leave your comments down below, guys. What do you guys think about this firing? Thank God it happened. You know, like, I hate to celebrate the firing of a human being, but this guy was just so bad, man. Like, he was such a bad football coach. He hired such bad assistant coaches. Like, Luke Getsy got fired. Shane Waldron got fired. I mean, he had Alan Williams get fired for whatever he did. Okay, we still don't know what exactly he did, but it was something very sketchy. He had another assistant get fired for HR violations, the running backs coach in 2023. So, like, this guy was not good at hiring his assistant staff. He wasn't good at coaching in game. He wasn't good at, you know, using challenges. He was so bad at challenges. I mean, he lost basically every single challenge as head coach of the Bears. So I'm just so happy he's finally gone, and we don't have to worry about him potentially being the head coach of the Bears in 2025. Leave your comments down below. Thank God he's gone. As always, bear down.